and welcome back. It has been a solid 3 to 4 weeks since we've done a podcast, but we are finally back. As of recording this, it's now mid-March. I think this is only our fourth one of the year, but I want to make a big announcement. It's a big one for me and Pete, because this is our first podcast we've done where we're now on a total of over 10,000 plays. So when we last did a podcast around 2-3 weeks ago, I said that we were approaching 10K. Well, we've actually done 800 more plays, and we haven't even uploaded a podcast. So that just goes to show the power of when you've uploaded 88 episodes, or this is 89 once this one goes out, the power of putting out content. Once you get to a certain point, it seems to just bring in the plays. Even us, Pete, even people want to listen to us. What do you think of that?
Well, you can't blame them, can you? I mean,
No.
we just listened back to some of them podcasts, and we were blown away, weren't we?
I was blown away.
We were, weren't we? No, but I think we've got to tie this in to the message we're trying to send the listeners, viewers. Is this, you're saying we've been around a little bit, around the block now. We've got the content out there. We've got a bank of podcasts. And people are picking up on it, aren't they? And it's the same for a one-to-one PT on the gym floor, isn't it? Because if you're there talking to people, having those conversations, letting them know you're there, but not going in hard sell, they're going to start coming to you because you become part of the furniture, that comfort when people are going to the gym. So I just thought we've got to tie that in somehow.
Exactly. And I completely agree. It's one of those where whenever you start doing something, whether that's a podcast, whether that's starting out in a gym, whether that's even online coaching, whether it's doing whatever it is, at first you're going to get disheartened because you don't see any results. You feel like you're putting in the effort but get no return. And obviously we aren't exactly at a point where we are, rolling in it from our podcast. Like some people, like Chris, my old housemate who runs Modern Wisdom, he probably gets 10,000 plays within the first, 24 hours of uploading every single podcast. But on our end, it's good. It's good to see the numbers going up and that we've helped a good amount of people. So on that note, have you got any would you rathers or any interesting questions for me, Pete, before we delve into the nitty and gritty, as they say?
Nitty and gritty. Well, I'm trying to think, when was the last time we spoke?
It would have been 3 weeks ago.
So have I seen you since Wembley?
No.
Have we not talked since Wembley?
No.
Oh, wow. Well,
we have, but not on the podcast.
Yeah, not physically. But yeah, I mean, Wembley, what a place. Didn't get the result, but before you get in there with that, but what an experience. I think my liver's just dried out from that. But yeah, it was good. Quite a bit of travelling, but I had a really good time. What was it, 4 days I was in London? But yeah, it was mental.
We were in London that weekend as well.
We were, weren't you? Why did you go again?
Well, we weren't there for the Newcastle game because we were meant to go the weekend before Christmas, but because of all the train strikes, we had to reschedule, which it just so coincidentally happened to be the same weekend as Newcastle and Man U were obviously in the League Cup final. But the thing is, you probably say, why would you do that? Why would you book it the same day as that? Well, we booked it first. We booked it on that day before Newcastle had even got to the final. So we obviously didn't know that they were going to be in it.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely chocker with Newcastle fans. Like, I felt as if I was just in town. It was mental.
Well, I think someone was telling me, or a few places have said, 130,000 Geordies.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Obviously, there was only 32,000 seats for the Geordie supporters. So yeah, it just shows you how mad it is. But yeah, it was really good. Barely saw any Man U fans. They only showed up.
I didn't either.
They showed up only on the Sunday, but like a few people said, they only They only live 2 tube stops away from Wembley anyway.
Yeah, true. That's such a classic joke, isn't it? If
It
people
is.
don't follow football, they won't get that joke. But
If I've offended any Manchester United supporters, I'm not sorry.
fair enough. Well, it's got to the point now where I think we should make a solid run hitting episode 100, because as this goes out, this is episode 89. We're only 11 off if my calculations are correct. And we still need to figure out what we should do. So if you're still listening, a few, 5-6 minutes into this podcast, and you have any suggestions, I think on Spotify, when I upload this podcast, I'm sure there's a way where I can upload like a poll or something. So if you look under the pod, I should have already figured it out by the time that I've uploaded it. So I'm going to put a poll, and I want you to give us some suggestions on what we should do for episode 100. If there's any sort of Q&A maybe we should do, or I don't know, anything. Because it would be good to do something a bit different, wouldn't it?
I mean, we could have a party.
Could have a party. I don't know how that'd work.
We'd get like hats, things you blow.
What, vapes?
Yeah, let's vape. Let's vape. No, what
That's what you do at parties, isn't it?
Party.
Poppers.
You know, the unroll. When you blow
Poopers.
it.
Poppers.
What?
Party
Poppers.
poppers. What are they called?
I don't think you want poppers. That's just different. We're delving into a different world of that.
You told me you did that in London.
No, that wasn't. Not this time. Maybe the time before. That's why you and Alex went down there. And you did it on the train.
Yeah, we did it on the train because that's the normal place to do that kind of
If you
thing.
can do
But
poppers, what else would you do?
not on a train.
Make the train journey fun.
And make it something, I'll tell you
There is,
that.
I mean, just disclaim there is other ways to have fun.
Yes. Just in case that you thought the only way as to the reason you're not having fun currently in your house is because you haven't done poppers in London on a train. But there are other ways.
There are other ways.
And another way
Have fun.
I would say, just to segue into the podcast a little bit, another way to have fun is to sell your service really well. Would you agree?
I think that was seamless. That wasn't it?
That's what they call me.
I do have a joke for you before
Go on
we
then.
get into the serious stuff. I don't think I've told this one because that would be annoying if I hadn't. If I had, I mean, if I had.
I was going to say, you're going to tell me now anyway.
So there's two Ariels in a relationship, and they get married, right? The wedding was terrible. But the reception was great.
Way.
You can't beat that one, can you? That is
You know what it is?
Top shelf dad joke, that.
You know what it is, Pete? I can't beat that. I cannot beat that in any way, shape, or form.
If I had a top drawer, I'm literally just getting it out. Just getting
Just pulling it out, that top one.
You can see me on screen.
That proverbial top drawer you've got.
Exactly. I'm trying to think, what else have we got? Have we got anything else for you? No, I've just been a busy bee. Busy beaver, as I said in the intro.
Being a busy beaver, not a busy bee, he's a busy beaver.
Busy beaver.
So what I want to do is segue into the podcast because I'm aware that people don't want to talk, or should I say listen to us talk crap for too long. Maybe we can save that for episode 100.
I mean,
so
to be fair, we've got 10,000 listeners with talk that
more.
way. And you want to change it. You want to change it.
Yeah. Maybe I don't. Well, you know what? I think on episode 100, we should just do a 1 hour episode of just the most recap and the most ridiculous things we've said on this podcast.
What, just like relive them?
Yeah.
Instant replay.
Yeah, maybe we could do some type of like instant replay, or we can just like put our most famous quotes down. You know what we could do? We could do a game of I don't know whose
Who
job it's
said
going to be
this?
to troll through all the episodes because I can't be bothered to do that. But
We'll
pick
get the
out,
team on it, no?
yeah, get the
In the
team on it.
office.
Yeah, the office. Pick out a load of quotes, and then me and you've got to guess who said it, me or you.
So I've got one for you.
Go on.
Eye in the sky.
Well, I definitely know that was you because I couldn't stop laughing after you said that.
What about the horse was called?
I knew you were going to. I really want to remember what episode that was so I can go back and listen to it.
Well, it would be the one with the most views, most players. No? Listen. No?
I lost you there for a sec.
Oh, I lost you too. It would be the one with the most played. No?
Well, what, because of that joke?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably will be, to be fair. But yeah, I think they're the two most famous ones from us. But getting back to what I was saying, if you could do us a favour and give us some type of recommendation for episode 100, that would be great. I mean, at this rate, we might not get to episode 100 by the end of the year at our current weekly upload schedule, which isn't weekly anymore. It's like every 2 to 3 weeks. But I promise we'll get back on it and we'll be, at best, if we can, get back to once a week. But let's get into the podcast then. So today we're going to be talking about this is the reason you cannot sell your fitness coaching. So we talk a lot about getting clients on the gym floor. We talk a lot about being able to build know, like, and trust on that proverbial conveyor belt we always talk about. But I'm going to start off. You know what? I'll let Pete go into the trying to sell too soon. I know we hammer that one down your throat like there's no tomorrow a lot of the time, but it really is a main point of you are trying to sell too soon. But what I'm going to delve into first is the consultation area, because we don't talk about that too much. If I'm going to assume that you've done the first parts of the conveyor belt system, and if you don't know what that is, listen to our other podcasts. But in a consultation, I can almost guarantee that this is an area where you feel not that confident, or maybe you feel that you could optimize it a little bit more. And I'm going to use a little story about myself when I first started running consultations. And I might have mentioned this before, but Pete, I'm sure you're the same. When you and I first started in the gym, in the public gym back in 2015, PT, we had no sales experience doing consultations. Did you?
No.
I did.
Don't think you got any
didn't.
at all.
I remember doing one of my, I can't remember if I've told this story, I might have. So I remember in the gym tours we did before the gym actually opened in 2015, before the gym opened a few weeks later, we had people wanting to look around the gym. We were on shift, letting people in and then showing them how everything was going to work. And this is before the gym actually opened, so there was no one actually working out. And we worked in, let's just say, more of a well-to-do, affluent area of Newcastle. I mean, not many parts of Newcastle are affluent, but this part we did work in was, and the gym had some of those people who were living in the local area would come in. And I remember one of the days a guy came in, he was probably in his maybe mid-late 50s, and he wanted me to show him around the gym. Bearing in mind, I'm 19, have no experience of even talking to many people like this guy, never mind trying to sell him my service. Show him around the gym, and he's saying, what about this personal training stuff then? I'm interested in that. So straight away as a PT, when you've got no clients, you're like, it's like bells are ringing, you're thinking, great, I might have myself a client here. So I'm straight away going on I wouldn't say hard sell because I didn't even know what a hard sell was back then. But I straight away started talking about PT, talked about myself, and I was like, you know what, let's just get in a free consultation. That's the best way to do it. I don't know how, but I somehow managed to get him into a free consultation. I remember sitting him down in the consultation room we had, Pete. It's a little small room, not really that much space for, well, anything really. And sat him down, got the consultation form out, and it was essentially just a short questionnaire of what he's done before, what injuries he's had, and what medical situation he's currently in. It was just basic questions. And then once he'd filled that in, as I was literally just sat watching him fill it in, And I was just blagging his head as he was doing it, talking about like the weather and just a load of bullshit, essentially. Because I thought
You
that's
know how
what I had
that
to do.
feels.
Yeah.
Coming to you that often. I know how that feels. Like in my head.
Speak for yourself. And I got to the point where he'd filled it in and he was like, right, what's the next step? So, and straight away I was like, right, so this is how it's going to work. We're going to do this, that, and the other. I'm going to get you doing this. This would be great for you. And I was like, right, so I think I was charging maybe £30 a session at the time. But if you pay in a block of 10, it'll be £25 per session or £2.50 for the block of 10. So you get a discount. As soon as I mentioned the price, I was trying to justify why I was charging that. And I remember him just looking at me and going, I'll have to think about it. And I just couldn't get round in my head why he didn't want to sign up. I was like, he obviously has money. He's just told me he runs a business, and he's clearly from the place where we worked. Nearly said it there, but I feel like I shouldn't. So I knew that the budget wasn't exactly something which was out of his means. And I remember just thinking, well, there must be something I'm not doing here. And long story short, which Pete will delve into in a second, is that I wasn't actually delving into his pain points, delving into his concerns, delving into what he was looking to achieve, and actually see if he was a good fit for me. I didn't know anything about him. He didn't know anything really about how I ran things. And I didn't set myself as someone who knew what he was talking about or an authority figure. So I'm going to let Pete take it away and delve into why I didn't get that PT client and I didn't convert him in that consultation. So Pete, what do you think are the things I did wrong and what can I have done?
Well, first of all, I share your pain with the dreaded phrase of, I'll have to think about it. Or
classic.
An even better one that I got was, I have to talk to my partner. Excuse me. I have to talk to my partner. And that was just like alarm.
Classic.
Like, this isn't going anywhere. I haven't got a client here. This is a wasted consultation. Back to the drawing board. I think, obviously, this is, how would you describe it? Like, if you were going to give an example of how not to do a consultation, what Lewis has just explained there is a top specimen of how not to do a consultation. If you went to the laboratory, you've got your little dishes with your little things in. This one would be labelled, don't do it this way.
I was wondering where you were going with
that. Neither did I. But I got there somehow. But yeah, I mean, you didn't cover any of the bases. You've heard the phrase, I'm interested in PT, and your eyes lit up, and you thought, yes, I've got a consultation here, I've got a client, first one in the bag. I don't need to do anything else with that other stuff. And you've just got him probably to do his Part Q, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. It was the Part Q.
Make sure he's not dying or got any major injuries, and you give him something he shouldn't be doing, which obviously is important, but you haven't done everything else you need to know, what the struggles are, built up a rapport, found, what the goal is, why they've struggled, why they've come for personal training. All those areas that we bang on about. It's that conveyor belt, warming them up. We were discussing earlier about dealing with objections, weren't we? And that is the stuff you haven't got the information of those objections that you can talk someone around and explain why that's not the case. So you've probably pretty much done everything wrong, and that wasn't your fault. Just generally, training providers that train you for your level 3, there's not many that will actually tell you how to sell personal training to anyone. I mean, the course I did, we actually got some physical one-to-one experience. So we'd learn during the day, and then they'd have a PT clinic, and from the local area would come in and we'd be overseeing personal training, which was great. By the time I'd qualified, I'd done 20 hours of personal training. So I had a bit of experience in the tank, but I still didn't. We did a bit on business. We had to do a presentation on our business and how what a target market was, what we're able to do. But you don't get that experience of sitting with different people. It's not like
It's like
you're
driving a
sitting-
car, isn't it? When
yeah,
you do your
you know,
lessons.
you're doing your lessons, but you're not having a random person that you don't know a lot about and trying to build up rapport and trying to sell them on PT. You just can't really replicate that situation. There could be providers could provide a bit more of what we're talking about with that conveyor belt, coaching the conveyor belt, coaching how to sell someone, handling objections. But there isn't really that thing out there, and I suppose that's why we're about, isn't it, Lewis? That's why we sort of do this, is because there's no resources out there. We had to learn the hard way, didn't we? We were thrown in the deep end, and you either sink or swim. We swam eventually after taking on a bit of water, and got ourselves to the top of the water. But for a lot of people, they won't pick the clients up, and this is what makes or breaks your PT career, is closing these consultations.
Exactly.
So if you're not nailing them, you can kiss goodbye to having a long-term career in personal training, because you've got to get the consultation right. You can know everything in the gym, what exercise works, what muscle, what nutrition you need to give to someone. But if you can't physically get the punters through the door in front of you in a coaching session to get those results, because you know all the technical stuff, the coaching, physical side, the nutrition, then you won't last long. And we've talked before, haven't we, Lewis, where PTs have come in, you have come to the gym, you're a PT there, you have a bit crack with them, chat, you see them do a little bit of training, you think, yeah, this person knows their stuff, but they can't talk to a client, and they just can't get the consultations. As the weeks go by, they can't get the consultations. You see them become more and more desperate to try and get their customers, and in the end, they'll probably leave, and there'll be that high turnover of PTs like there is in most commercial gyms. So we can't stress enough how important this is. And, these shouldn't be taken for granted. You've got to go into them sort of well rehearsed in what you're doing. Have these questions set out, not just a PARQ form. They've got to fill that in, but you need to understand before you get to that point more about the person. And that's where Lewis went wrong with his. And if you went into a consultation now and you filmed a consultation now and you filmed that consultation you just talked about, it would be like night and day.
Exactly. And I think I just want to delve into as well some specifics of how I'd recommend you listen to this, run a consultation, and or anyone for that matter you want to bring into your fitness business. So first off, we're gonna bypass all the earlier stage of the conveyor belt. I'm just going to talk about a consultation for this podcast because we've delved into the other stuff loads on the other episodes. So this is purely just about consultation. So the first thing you want to do, or I'd recommend to do when you get them in a consultation, yes, have a little bit of chat, a little bit of banter if they're that type of person for the first few minutes, but don't bore them with just talking about the weather and stuff like that. No one really cares. Have a little bit of banter, that's it. And then the first thing you want to do, step one, is you want to set the context of what you're going to do. For example, you could say, so, Steve, this is what I'm planning on doing today. We're going to talk about your current problems, your current challenges, your current struggles. And then after that, we'll see if you're a good fit, because I don't just take on any client. I want to make sure that you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you as well. How does that sound? Perfect. And then what I'm doing there is I am setting the context of what I'm going to do, and I'm setting myself as the authority. I'm saying, look, I'm going to see if you're a good fit for me. And I'm also saying you can see if I'm a good fit for you as well. Straight away, they're going, yep, perfect. I know what's going to happen. And then after that, you can then start asking those open-ended questions, as me and Pete have spoken about a lot. You can say something like, so from our previous chat we had on Monday, you said that you've been struggling with accountability. So how is that affecting you at the minute then? Or then you can delve into say, what effect is not getting the 2 stone weight loss having on your happiness or your mood or your energy or your... So once you start delving into all of that, you're asking the open-ended questions, that's when you can segue. Once you know enough information, of course, you can say, so why is it that you feel that having a PT will be good for you? Because let's be honest, you could just try doing this on your own. And that way, we're saying to them, we're not saying that we're trying to be pushy and we're not trying to be needy. We're saying to them, look, you could try doing this on your own. And 9 times out, or 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, well, I've been trying to do it on my own and I just can't do it. Every time I try and go to the gym, I just don't have the motivation. I need someone to help. So they've essentially just sold themselves on working with you. And that's when you can then say, right, well, by the sounds of it, you're struggling with structure, you're struggling with accountability, and you want to lose 2 stone, you want to feel happier, healthier, and have more energy. And they're going to go, yeah. And then you can say something like, right, well, this is how it works. You said that you're struggling with structure and accountability. Why don't we get you on a twice per week training sessions with me, and I'll plan for you 1 or 2 sessions as well, which you can do by yourself. So you've got that structure, you've got that accountability because you're seeing me each week and you're checking in, and you're going to have the knowledge base because I'm going to tell you exactly how and why you are getting the results. How does that sound? And then they're going to say yes, of course. And then you can delve into all the nitty gritty of how it's going to work and all the more finer details of exactly how you run your coaching. Obviously, that's individual to you. And then at the end of that, that's when you can say, right, I've told you how everything works. Are you okay with me to delve into the price? And then you can tell them the price, whatever it is you charge. And then I would recommend, one thing I've learned quite recently actually, is if you can, try and get payment off them on the spot. So if you can't, that's fine. But ideally, if a lot of people have card readers now, like PTs, that is, try and have a card reader so they can pay you straight away. Or another thing I've started doing is I'll bring my laptop on my iPad to the consultation and have my payment link already there. So all they need to do on my laptop and iPad is just fill in their details. So just name, email address, and their card number, and then it'll straight away go through. So then you've taken the payment straight away, because a lot of the times they might say yes, but they're not actually a client until you've received the money. We all know that. People go away, think about it, and then you won't hear from them until the next day. Then they'll sometimes say, oh yeah, I just want to wait another week or two, when in reality, they're just delaying it, even though they know they want to do it. They just don't want to make a decision. So I would say a bonus tip is, if you can, try and get the payment on hand when you're actually there. Well, that's to summarize how I recommend going about things in a consultation. So, Pete, I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
A couple of bits I wanted to add there is just on your payment thing. That's a great idea because people will sort of talk themselves down. And quite often, someone's come for PT because they're at a low point and they're fed up. So you need to sort of strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly.
Which that's another phrase that could be on the podcast 100, by the way. Strike while the iron's hot. But yeah, getting back to it, they've come there, they've told you all the problems, they've spilled their heart out of all their struggles, and that's personal to them. And it's important you get them straight into it, because people will talk themselves down, they might find excuses like you've mentioned. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, you sort of covered some of the more detailed, sort of exciting stuff that's involved in the consultation, but it's just covering some of the basic things that can get overlooked. So you need to be confident in that consultation, because you are the expert in this, that person's probably twice as nervous as you are. And if they come in and they see that you're nervous, they will feed off that. And you want to be the sort of person going in there that's confident, reassuring them that they've picked the right PT to coach or tell their struggles. And if you're nervous, they're less likely to open up because they don't feel too sure. You want to reassure them that you touched on sort of just putting them straight of what you're going to cover in the consultation, which is great because they've probably gone in there, they've maybe been thinking about it since the previous evening, worrying what you're going to make them do. You're going to make them strip off and measure them and pull their fat about. Or you're going to ask really personal questions. You're going to put them in an uncomfortable position because this person might be carrying a bit of weight and they might not be that confident. So reassuring them, being personable, having empathy when they're sort of telling them some of their biggest struggles. They might not have told some of these struggles to their partner or their friends, and they're meeting a random person and you're expecting them just to unload their biggest, deepest, darkest secrets. So that sounds a bit sinister, doesn't it? But you're asking them to really tell you why they're not comfortable, why they're wanting to train. And that can be really personal to them. And then probably one more point is to make the consultation personal to that person. You don't want to be in there as if you've just picked a consultation template off the shelf, in that Steve might come in, Lisa might come in, and they get the exact same consultation. Although it will run a similar way, you should make it personal to them. So just don't go in there and say, right, we're going to go through my services and just say, we offer nutrition support, we offer coaching support, we'll send you a nutrition plan. Make it personal. Why is that nutrition plan going to help them in their situation? Why is that gym workout going to help them? How are you going to target the areas that they struggle with? And make it target back to them. And then the last thing I would say as well is when you've got all that information off them, just summarize. So it makes them think, right, this Pete or Lewis, the personal trainer, or yourself, listener, they've understood what I've said and they've retained that. I haven't just said it and they've let it go over their head. They've actually listened, because a lot of people won't actually listen to them. Their partner probably doesn't listen. Their friends might not. But you've listened and you understand the struggle and you understand how you can solve it. So have that sort of summary at the end and just read it back to them. I don't mean the full thing, but just the key points, so they know you understand them. And I think if you do everything Lewis said, everything I said, you're going to be filling your diary quick.
Yeah, completely agree. That's a good point, actually. Just summarising at the end, and just as you said there, just showing that you are actually listening and you actually understand. That'll go 75% of the way. Just showing that you understand and care what they're going through. And as Pete said, summarise what they're spoken about in 2 or 3 sentences, and they'll be like, "Yeah, you get it. That's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I'm going through." So yes, I think we've delved into quite a lot there. I don't think we've got anything else to add. I don't know if you do, Pete, but I think we've given a good amount of value there for you to take into your next consultation. And if you want to actually get to the point where you can run a consultation smoothly, I have just designed, you could say designed, not really designed, but written up a load of really good tips and tricks for you to do. So if you want to sign up to this, it's completely free. Hit the link in the description. It's called the free, I'm going to get it up now because I've forgotten what I called it. It's called the Free Fitness Coach 14-Day Selling Blueprint. So over those 14 days, I'm going to, similar to what we've just spoken about in this podcast, but I'm going to give you the exact template of how you should run consultations, or even if you have a consultation on the phone. Some people do them over the phone for I mean, we don't teach that, but even if you do, it will also work on that as well. Taking from someone from a prospect, taking them all the way to making sure that you run that consultation with assertiveness, confidence, and so that you actually make the sale, because that's what we want at the end of the day. Head to the link in the description. It's completely free. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you got anything else to add, Pete?
Yeah, I was just going to quickly say, mention at the start, didn't we? This will make or break your PT career in how successful you are and fill in your diary. And if you don't get this right, we've seen so many PTs that didn't get this right, they didn't learn, and they're not PTing now, or they didn't last at our gym that long. So you've got to really, what Lewis has produced there is going to help you massively going forward. So make sure you get involved.
But if you don't want to get involved and you don't want to make sales, that's fine. But the choice is yours. Head to the link in the description. It's free. See you in the next episode, guys.
See you guys.